Conclusion of regular business session, no executive session. Citizens wishing to speak, Ms. Martina, any public participation?
Good morning. I just want to give you a little bit about my background so you understand where I'm coming from. I come from a military family. My father joined the Merchant Marines when he was 15 or 16 years old. Age didn't matter if he volunteered to join the Merchant Marines during World War II. One of his transports was torpedoed by the Nazis and sank. Thankfully, he was rescued at sea. He went on to make a military career in aviation electronics in the Air Force and Army and served a tour in Vietnam. I myself served for 8 years, and I was a sergeant in the Army Occupation Forces in Berlin. My brother served a tour in Iraq. One of his sons served a peacekeeping tour in Kosovo, 2 combat tours in Iraq, and then another combat tour in Afghanistan, where he was killed by an IED, leaving behind his wife and 1-year-old son. Now, we understood the Nazis, Viet Cong, the Soviets, Al-Qaeda, and the Taliban. We understood who we were facing and accepted those risks so that people here can have free and happy lives in a democratic society. Yet today, I stand here before you to tell you that I am sickened to the very core of my being that a county government has so much power over its residents to the point where we were treated like enemies in our own county. There is no democracy here. We're not the enemy. We're not collateral damage. We are not prisoners of war. Yet you have tied our hands behind our backs and put dark hoods over our heads to keep us from knowing what our county government was up to. You conducted secret deals, and you spent billions in our tax dollars on airport expansion and commercialization without even allowing the people to know or to give their input in well over a year of secrecy until after the deal was done. It is tyrannical to force people to build a commercial airport in a community without a referendum. Something that will create a commercial jet nuisance in our own backyards and can't be ignored. It will violate us every single day, and we would say, in what goes on at our airport, in our county, and over our heads. With the exception of Mr. Connell, I'm so ashamed of this Board of Commissioners for spitting on the graves of those brave soldiers who died defending democracy. I'm ashamed of you for spitting on our veterans and spitting on those soldiers currently serving and in combat. I'm ashamed of you for treating the residents of Paulding County like they are the enemy. A big problem in this country is that we have too many politicians who have never served in the military, so they don't value or understand democracy. Democracy isn't just about elections, because sometimes corrupt tyrants can get elected on false campaign promises. Democracy is about people having control over how their tax dollars are spent. Democracy is about having a system of checks and balances to control government corruption. Democracy is about every citizen having a voice in how their community develops. The residents of Paulding will no longer allow you to keep their hands tied behind their backs or to keep them in the dark. It's time for everything to change in Paulding County. Therefore, I'm proposing some changes that we together can transform Paulding back into a democracy. Number 1, the BOC votes no on Resolution 14.5. We all know it was concocted to make the citizens of Paulding helpless. Because the BOC, the IDA, and the Airport Authority oligarchy have complete power over our lives, our homes, our development, our money, and our future. It kills the democratic process. It changes the law that protects Paulding residents from being robbed by their own government. Resolution 14.5 is a corrupt piece of proposed legislation. If you are not embarrassed by it, then you should not hold public office. 2, we the citizens are getting more involved. I am volunteering with our local public protection groups to organize oversight and advisory committees, to include a Citizens Airport Advisory Committee. To monitor the Airport Authority and the IDA, you will all know our faces. We're going to recommend changes that will weed out the secrecy. We're going to recommend ways to ensure checks and balances by breaking up the oligarchy. We're going to eliminate any out-of-control spending. We are going to make sure that Paulding engages in smart growth that doesn't destroy the beautiful, quiet, pastoral life that makes Paulding one of the most pleasant counties in the Atlanta area to live. 3, there will be no commercialization or expansion of the airport unless it passes a referendum. Now, I'm not a stranger to aviation. My younger brother is a police helicopter pilot, and he also owns a private helicopter business. I have flown for fun quite a bit way back in my younger days. I've even jumped out of 182s and even 21 a couple dozen times. I love the air shows. However, any responsible person knows that airports create a nuisance for the community, and the residents need to vote on what they are willing to endure. I know I would have voted against commercialization and expansion, and the hundreds of people I have recently spoken with feel the same way. So from now on, the way it needs to work is that we all work together, and we tell you how we want to live. We work together to make decisions in a democratic manner. And thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have